We are currently 7 months into Gamergate, a controversial online campaign in which its supporters claim to fight against what they perceive to be corruption and collusion within the media that covers the games industry. Gamergate gained international attention when controversial pop culture critic and all-around dishonest professional victim Anita Sarkeesian claimed that the movement was attempting to remove women from gaming. Whether or not you believe her claim is up to you, but according to recent studies, nearly half of all gamers identify as female. So if this movement was attempting to remove women, they're doing a pretty poor job. However, if you were to listen to Gamergate's claims for integrity, since August in the movement's start, the following websites have updated their ethics policies: The Escapist, IGN, PC Gamer, Polygon to a degree, and Kotaku to a very slight degree. These updates were totally unrelated to Gamergate, I'm sure. Now that we did our brief overview, let's get to the point. Last week was GDC, an event where publishers and developers are celebrated. While E3 is about flashing lights and no longer really about games, GDC is a more bare-bones convention that knows what gaming is about. The games. Or so I thought. You see, during GDC there's an award show where developers and publishers are celebrated for their contributions to the industry. This wasn't an issue. The issue is the man who was chosen to host this year's awards ceremony. The man who was selected to host the event was a man beloved by both hipsters and folks who wear heavily tinted nostalgia goggles alike. A man whose games you probably remember fondly but most likely have not gone back to play in several years. A man who couldn't properly budget a trip to a grocery store, let alone a video game. This man is Tim Schafer. Now, Schafer's big speech went off almost without a hitch. I say almost because during Tim Schafer's speech, he decided to reach into his jacket and pull out a sock puppet that I would assume he spent $3.3 million from his Kickstarter campaign on. He then proceeded to make a few very poor jokes and did what he and most of anti-Gamergate people have been doing for the past 7 months. And that was to erase the identity of anyone who doesn't fit into the "it's just straight white men trying to kill women and minorities" narrative that they've been desperately trying to push for the greater part of a year. Now, Gamergate didn't take too fondly to Tim Schafer's jokes, and to be honest, I don't blame them. Not everyone in Gamergate are people who are public figures, like Adam Baldwin or Milo Yiannopoulos. They are gamers from all walks of life, and those who are minorities got sick to death of people attempting to erase who they are, so they banded together with a sister hashtag. This hashtag was Not Your Shield, a banner for minorities, women, gay, bisexual, and transgendered Gamergate supporters to rally together and say that they are sick of being ignored. Tim Schafer used his platform to denigrate and insult these people, most of whom were his fans at one point or another, so he could win points with those that would give his games coverage. Tim did what any man who has lost his love for the industry does and attacked his fans. And while I'm at it, it couldn't have happened to a dumber man. Tim Schafer at one point was considered to be one of the best indie developers in gaming, but that talent had come at a price. Because no matter what he does, no matter how talented he is, he just can't seem to make any money for his company. Or maybe he does and he just doesn't know how to spend it correctly. I mean, he doesn't seem to have a great track record with finances at the moment, both with his inability to produce a full game with the nearly $3.3 million he raised from his $400,000 Kickstarter, or from one of his company's other little projects, Space-Based DF9, going full version 1.0 when it wasn't nearly finished because they ran out of money. If I was in Tim's shoes, I wouldn't be throwing stones while my boat is quickly sinking, because no matter how desperately he tries to pretend to be relevant in gaming, Tim Schafer is to publishers' profits what Kryptonite is to Superman. He's damaged goods that no one will actually touch. While it was said about another disaster of a human being entirely, Total Biscuit's recent tweets sum up exactly what most of us think about Tim Schafer now. The loathing of one's audience is a common side effect of those becoming more rapidly irrelevant with each passing day. When people think about Tim Schafer, they say, oh, he's the guy that made Psychonauts, a game that came out nearly 10 years ago. If your company has made 20 games from then till now, and the only one that people remember is the first game you made, you've reached the peak of your career, and all that's left for you is the inevitable drop into pathetic obscurity. Maybe you should think about that next time you attack your audience, Tim, because we sure will.